Hi, and welcome to Mind Over Matter. My name is Sofia, and today I've been joined by Anastasia, who's going to talk a little bit about narcissistic relationships and her experience with them. Anastasia, welcome.
Thank you,
Lovely.
Sophia, for having me.
Lovely to meet you. So tell us about your experience with narcissistic relationship and what brings you here today.
So what brings me here today is the fact that I wanted to talk about my past. I was with someone that was very manipulative and toxic because every time we had an argument, it was like I was to blame. And I just felt really, really bad all the time. You know, I lost myself in the process. And there's a fine line between loving someone but accepting that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and people don't understand that you need to follow, that you should have standards to not accept that, you know. But when you love someone, it's kind of difficult. You kind of accept that torture, and it's mental torture. And I find that with narcissism, it's worse than physical violence, and it's just emotional damage. And you know, and I want to bring that awareness for people who are suffering, to just remember to love yourself and set yourself standards, like, you know, I'm not going to accept this. And to be honest, if anyone is to blame, it's them, because they're the ones that kind of put you through that stress and
Absolutely.
that, you know.
You're not doing it to yourself.
I'm not doing it to myself, exactly. And it's just, it took me a good few years to realise that this person was narcissistic, because I didn't know at first that they were, and they're very good at hiding it as well, you know.
Looking back now, what were kind of the red flags that told you, wait a minute, this person, this behaviour is not acceptable behaviour? What were the things and the mannerisms that they did that kind of stuck out for you?
Yes, so the first thing is love bombing, which is definitely a narcissistic trait. Love bombing is when they, you know, treat you like the world at the beginning. They take you out and they give this impression that they're just, you know, amazing, like too good to be true. But then eventually you start to realise their true colours come out, and it was all fake. So that love bombing was just to reel you in and just to keep you there on lock. That's the first thing. The second thing is, the second trait is gaslighting, making you believe something that is not true. So they would say something to me, but then they would make it sound like you're going crazy, but you're not, you know. Third thing is, I'm always to blame. I'm always the guilty one, and they're the victim. So those are the three red flags that I picked up along the way.
And for those watching right now, who may be in a relationship like that and don't necessarily recognise and have just heard what you said, what kind of practical advice could you give them to kind of get out of that relationship or get out of that pattern of abuse?
I mean, so with me, if I can relate it to what I went through, I would say therapy really does help, counselling. Due to this, I was on antidepressants because I was at a really low point, but you know, the GPs don't do anything these days. They just give you medication and then that's it. So I would say talking to someone, therapy, reading books about learning to love yourself. So those things.
And these are the things that you did yourself, that you experienced.
Exactly. And I realised that no, I'm not to blame. You know, if anyone is to blame, it's them for putting me through that. Which is why I created the show, to build awareness so people can relate all over the world.
Absolutely. And recognise that behaviour if it's happening to them.
Yes. So, I mean, apologies if you are going through, if anyone is going through that. It's really not a nice experience.
And what kind of advice would you give to, say, yourself, let's say those years ago? If you could tell yourself some advice, what would you say?
never trust a person straight away.
That's always good. Yeah, absolutely. Just a general rule.
Yes, never trust someone straight away, and don't put all your eggs in one basket thinking that they're the ones. And if it is too good to be true, listen to your gut feeling.
That's really important, yeah.
Yes, so those are the 3 things.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anastasia.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anastasia. That was Mind Over Matter, and we hope to see you again for episode 3.
Topics and guests, and I'd like to welcome our first guest, Jaziah. Hi Jaziah, welcome.
Thank you.
How are you today?
I'm feeling great.
Good.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about your story.
So I grew up in a single parent household. Very hard for just one child to be raised by one parent as well, especially in the environment that we were in, financially struggling as well. But I knew my mum, she was very strong. She held the backbone of our house. And then when it came to like primary school and secondary school, things like that, it was very hard growing up and talking to people. I was sort of like not easy when it comes to making friends, especially in secondary school. I was quite alone a lot.
You're quite shy. Yeah? More introvert?
I'm actually more extroverted.
Okay.
Now I'm extroverted.
Okay.
So when it came to socializing in secondary school, I was kind of good at it, but then it also led to me being alone a lot during like my year 11, year 10 stage, because that's when it was GCSE time. I had to focus a lot, but also that's when I was exposed to things like, you know, partying, drugs, alcohol, and stuff like that. So that's when it sort of took like an effect on me for when I would enter into college. And so even before then, in year 10, I was involved in relationships, so it took a turmoil on my mental health at a time, but I still had to keep headstrong because I had exams to take, and I was not going to let a relationship get to the best of me and in my future.
Was the relationship affecting your mental health, or was it just your general surroundings that was?
General surroundings, which
then affected your relationship, yeah?
Not general surroundings affecting my relationship, but in the terms of like, I knew that in the time it was affecting my headspace. Like some days I'd just be like in my bed not doing anything, and so like.
You're feeling very down.
Yeah. Then it comes college. I was very like optimistic about college. I thought I could make friends with just about everyone in the classroom. Then here comes, you know, the beef and all of that stuff, and it's like I was basically like the elephant in the room, and when it came to college, because I knew that not a lot of people liked me in the class when I had done absolutely nothing wrong to them. And then came lockdown, which was the hardest bit. It was very hard for me to cope. I was very alone, despite living in a household with 3 other people. It was very hard, spiritually speaking as well. There was a moment where I went to, let's say, a motive, and so I was.
So in lockdown, you said you were living with your family,
yeah.
Yes? And so you didn't feel like you could talk to anybody there? Did you have anybody that you could talk to?
I did. I didn't really talk a lot because I was in my room a lot as well. So it was just me playing on my Nintendo, because that was like the one thing I would mainly do, or go on my social media. There was one thing called House Party that we would use. Yeah, we would use it a lot. So
I believe you're doing mental health workshops as well.
Tell me a little
bit about that.
I finished that last year, but what it was is that I was with an organization called Rethink Mental Illness. So we would do mental health workshops across London in schools and colleges. So what we would do in those workshops is that we would teach the young people about CBT, the difference between mental health and mental illness.
So tell us a little bit. Tell me a little bit about the difference between mental health and
So everyone has mental health. It's just our psychological well-being, our social well-being, and our emotional well-being. How we think about ourselves, how we talk to others, how we approach others, and how do we feel about ourselves as well. Yeah, that's about it really. It's also like our performance, how we view ourselves, what we can do in our lives, and so forth.
Okay, and how did those workshops work out? Was it really powerful for a lot of kids?
Yes, so we end up helping over 1,100 young people in London. We've especially went to schools where it's been really hard for them as well, especially like in some places there might have been an accident happening or revolving around the kids as well.
Some trauma.
Even outside of the school, I remember I met one person who something happened to him a while ago, and I was thinking we should have continued the workshops because they stopped in around January last year.
Okay.
But it was a success.
So why did they stop? They should carry on.
I don't know.
You should start it yourself.
I will. I can actually.
Well, I mean, if you had to give one takeaway to some students or people out there on mental health, what would that be?
You have a very powerful tool in here. You have your brain. This generation right now we live in, it likes to go heartstrong, not headstrong, heartstrong. When you are led by your emotions, it tends to lead you into very bad places. And coming from someone who's very passionate, I can definitely say that my heart gets the best of me and I do the wrong thing a lot. But when I calculate my situations and my well-being and my environment, I just think, and I'm just like, I can relax, I can breathe, I can take leisure, I can walk into a situation where I'm not into any pressure or any conflict, and because I think about it, I analyze what's going on, what's in front of me. I have tunnel vision because I don't use my heart. My heart will lead me astray, and also
I have to agree with you 100% because I'm very, very, very similar.
like.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for sharing your story with us today on the Mind Over Matter show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been great having you.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you, Jaziah, for your inspirational story. I will now welcome Natalie to share her story and her coping mechanisms of what she's struggled with throughout her life so far. Hi, Natalie. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you for having me.
No worries. Did you travel far today?
About an hour.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, not too bad.
So tell me about yourself and why you're here.
So I'm Natalie. I am a self-care, self-love and mental health coach. Having suffered with my own mental health for many years, I have now overcome them and I can now help other people with their own mental health. So that's what I feel very passionately about, that it's my mission to contribute to help solving the global mental health crisis.
Yes, of course. And obviously this show is surrounding mental health, and what would you define mental health as from your experiences or just a general overview?
Well, everyone has to manage their own mental health. I don't think there's anyone in the world that has not struggled in some aspects of their mental health at any point in their life. For me, I've struggled with PTSD from a traumatic experience, postnatal depression after having my son, and anxiety and depression, and sadly suicide, which obviously I'm still alive today, so I'm very grateful to still be here. And I just think there's so many people out there struggling, battling and suffering needlessly. And I think if we can get the tools and the coping mechanisms, or the healthy coping mechanisms out there, then people won't struggle as much.
And from your experience, what would you say your coping mechanisms were? Because obviously there's different alleyways you can do it, and you can do natural remedies, or you can get prescribed medicine. So if you would share, how did you cope with the struggles you went through?
So for me, at one point I did need medication, but I very quickly moved on from that because it was quite scary that I couldn't feel my emotions.
Yeah.
It kind of numbed me, and that's not healthy. So I had to basically take myself on a self-care journey and self-love journey. So from a really dark place, I knew for my son's sake, else I wouldn't exist anymore. I had to just find scheduling time every day to do something for myself that was healthy, that made me feel good, that made me happy. For me, I love dancing, I love music, so I make sure I do those things on a regular basis. I listen to music every day, it fills me up with, you know, good vibes. I had to get up at 5 in the morning. At my lowest, I had to get up really early just for some peace and quiet on my own, to meditate, do a bit of yoga, so just some real simple, easy exercise just to get my body moving, move that energy around, and it makes you feel good. You know, set off those feel-good chemicals in your brain. So instead of, you know, some people try and cope with drinking, eating, you know, unhealthily, smoking, numbing with, I don't know, TV, or just going out all the time just to try and block it out, but that's actually not the healthiest way. So for me, I just did all the things that made me feel good and made me feel happy, eating better. I won't, you know, pretend I eat perfectly all the time. I still love chocolate and a good takeaway. Absolutely, you know, you've still got to socialise and feel, you know, connect with people. And that's another thing. I felt like I was alone, suffering on my own. But actually, when you connect with other people, that's how you can know that you're not on your own. And actually, everyone's struggling on their, you know, with their own stuff. That we don't have to suffer on our own, because if we just connect and talk to each other, and, you know, talk therapy is very good anyway, you know, but if you know the tools, you know, breathing exercises to alleviate your anxiety, know what makes you feel good, and reach and take action to make sure you do those things that make you feel better.
So would you say you're probably a big advocate of just finding something that suits you instead of just going down the normal journey?
Walks in nature, getting a bit of sunshine, get some fresh air. It's the simplest things, but actually it will change your life. Meditating, just quieting your mind. You know, all this stuff that we watch on TV, there's so much negative stuff on the news. What we consume is actually, it becomes our reality, because if we think negatively, you know, all this fear mongering of what's happening in the world, you know, the financial crisis and everything is actually making people more fearful and more worried, and that's obviously in turn making everyone's mental health worse. So I try and be really conscious of what I put in my brain and what I listen to. So I listen to a lot of positive podcasts and audio books and YouTube videos. I love a bit of Tony Robbins. Just put inspiring, positive, motivating stuff in your brain, and your thoughts become things. So
and obviously again, so meditation and finding a natural remedy is hard to do, because a lot of people struggle to actually just zone out and not think about anything and meditate. How did you take a minute and actually just think about yourself and be silent?
It's really hard. I still struggle with it now, especially if I'm just getting on with life and putting my son's needs first, as any mother would. But actually, if you don't fill your own cup, you can't pour into other people. And that happened to me recently. I was just doing and doing and doing, and I didn't do anything for myself, and I became really poorly. So that was, you know, I'm still learning my lessons. So I worked a full-time job, trying to, you know, do everything for everyone, run the household, cooking, cleaning, shopping, picking my son up from nursery at the time, doing the dinner, bath, bed routine, put him to bed, and then I'm literally like left surrounded in mess and toys. Like, I don't know any mums that have a pristine house, but when you're so exhausted, doing everything, overwhelmed, you can't seem to catch a break, and then you're just left with your dark thoughts. And for me, sadly, it was only 2 years ago that I literally was in that dark place and thought, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this every day and feel like I'm just struggling. And you know, sadly, I made real plans to end my life, and it was just heartbreaking, because I thought, how I can't do that to my son. I can't leave him without a mum. And so that was my breaking point, and I was just like, I need to help other women overcome this feeling. And I'm sure there's so many mums out there feeling like, this is enough, this is too much, I can't do it. I mean, I've only got one son, but there's mums out there that have 3, 4 kids, like, they're superheroes, you know.
But that is an inspirational story to hear, because there will be many women out there, or men as well, that are struggling and don't have that breakthrough. And obviously, since you've had that breakthrough and you've worked on yourself, and congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
And have you done anything with that? And practices, or?
So since then, I, you know, from meditating and just pouring into myself, going within, really making myself feel better, taking the real simple steps, walking, exercise, you know, going back to dance. I didn't dance for 10 years, and that was the one thing that I loved, that made me feel really good. And I went back to dancing, and that naturally I was connecting back with old friends and things like that. I've done a show and everything since. I love performing, and so since then, so I got confidence. I started going to conferences and business conferences and training. I did coaching training, so I'm now a certified coach, and I now help. Well, at the moment, I'm focusing on overwhelmed working mums, because I was one. But I've got some other projects that I've got on the go, or just starting, which is exciting. One of which is a community interest company. KIC is called Hidden Me, and the other director and I, so there's 2 directors, I'm one of them. We will be delivering a service for young people and young adults with a hidden disability or mental health difficulty. We'll provide them some support, some counselling, and, you know, inspiring motivational people to come in and do some talks, and also help them learn and develop some skills to get them into employment, because there's a gap between mandatory school or college and adulthood. And if they haven't got the skills because of their barriers with their mental health or their disability, there's a gap, and we need to fill that gap to enable them to live a life they want.
It's a tough barrier to break, because you're struggling and then you get over it, and you've been away from the community and life so long that you might not know how to break back into it, and then that could just send you back down. So that's really inspirational. It's powering.
Thank you.
So if you were to have a piece of advice for people struggling, or anyone who's in your situation or feels like they're going down a rough cycle, what would you suggest or advise?
Reach out for help. Do not go through it on your own. There is always someone with a listening ear. I'm certainly one of them. You can DM me or contact, or go on a quick Zoom call with me, and we can go through some tools and techniques that can help you when you're feeling anxious, depressed, in a really dark place. I know what works for me, and I know what's worked for my clients, and I'll take you through a 12-week program that can help you break through your mental health difficulties, and in turn you will learn for your kids' sake. When we learn how to manage our own mental health, we can then teach our kids so they can become healthy, happy adults as well. And
that's important, isn't it? What you know, learning it and then teaching it.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your story. It was inspirational.
Thank you.
And our viewers can learn something from lovely Natalie.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the show and have learned something inspirational from our stories. I just wanted to say a very special thank you to all of our guests who have come on the show and been brave enough to share their stories. Furthermore, if you are struggling with any mental health issues or need to talk to someone, please feel free to use our helpline displayed on your screens now. Also, our Mind and Matter have social media platforms. Please feel free to follow them to help raise more awareness for people struggling. Stay tuned for episode 3, where we will be including mental health games and challenges with prizes included. That's all for now from me, Katie Mackay.